The Minnesota Vikings have to convince themselves that they're not dreaming. Their surprising 1980 season has been the stuff that dreams are made of. But last week, Cleveland threatened a rude awakening. Brian Sipe and the Browns dominated the first half and appeared destined for a playoff clinching victory. But in the third quarter, the Vikings provided the first sign that this would be their day of destiny. Tommy Kramer's 31-yard pass to Joe Sensor, number 81, was only the tip of an iceberg that would sink the Browns in a titanic upset despite a nightmarish deficit. Kramer passed for 456 yards on the day and ignited a comeback attempt that caught fire in the game's final 5 minutes. Kramer's wild game of beat the clock was played with a variety of partners. Number 23, Ted Brown, was one of them. With 1:35 remaining, Kramer and Ahmad Rashad, number 28, brought the Vikings to within 1 point. Time was now their biggest enemy, but as so often happens in dreams, time seemed to stand still. The Vikings did not. While the Browns are known as the Cardiac Kids for their last-second victories, Kramer's 46-yard desperation pass enabled the Vikings to snatch that reputation for themselves on this afternoon. In a career highlighted by clutch receptions, Ahmad Rashad never produced one as spectacular as this NFC Central Division title clincher. Expected to flounder this season, Minnesota has arisen from the ashes to clinch its 11th playoff berth in the last 13 years. No one could have dreamt such a season for the Vikings, except the Vikings themselves. The surprising Bills couldn't wait to get their hands on New England, but Buffalo was throttled, especially in the trenches, where the Bills' Sherman White, number 83, attempted to stunt on number 62, Dwight Wheeler. When Wheeler alertly read and closed off the rush, Matt Cavanaugh had enough time to hit Andy Johnson, number 32, for a score. Scoring was something that Buffalo found difficult. For the second straight week, their offense failed to produce a touchdown. They were prevented from clinching the AFC East title by a Patriots defensive unit that saw everything fall into place. New England maintained the upper hand with Cavanaugh's short to medium range passes. Russ Francis, number 81, was Cavanaugh's favorite target. The big tight end hauled in one of Cavanaugh's 2 touchdown scoring passes as New England's 24-2 victory kept their playoff hopes alive. The Cinderella Bills, meanwhile, must win next week or risk turning into pumpkins. Another Cinderella team, the Atlanta Falcons, have shown no discomfort in wearing the glass slipper. Last Sunday, they shook loose the 49ers' upset hopes. Rookie linebacker Al Richardson, number 56, pounced on a Joe Montana fumble for a score that proved the Falcons are a team that makes their own breaks. And they do it with skill, not luck. Steve Bartkowski has been especially skillful this season. Bartkowski benefits from a multifaceted receiving corps. Wallace Francis, number 89, provides finesse and speed. Tight end Junior Miller Number 80 provides tenacity. Miller grabbed the first of Bartkowski's 3 scoring passes, while Francis was the recipient of the other 2. The wide receiver's 81-yard touchdown reception saw the 49ers secondary fall apart at the seams. The Falcons clinched the NFC West title with the 35-10 victory, their 9th in a row. Before the year began, the Falcons had been tabbed by many to be cellar dwellers, but their performance in 1980 has made it abundantly clear that there's a huge gap between those who predict and those who play. Just check the records of those surprising teams that have exposed forecasting as a business without bite. It was far too late for Cincinnati Bengals coach Forrest Gregg to be thinking about playoff time in Soldier Field last Sunday. But Jack Thompson augured well for next year when he had Isaac Curtis for a 14-0 Bengal lead. Cincinnati's defense showed signs of maturing as it limited Chicago's Vince Evans to 100 yards in passing while sacking him 3 times. But a safety blitz by Lenny Walderscheid, number 23, put the Bears back in the game. One of the oldest and wisest players in the league, Alan Page, recovered the fumble in the end zone for Chicago's first score. With the game tied at 14, Louis Breeden ended the Bears' final threat with only 9 seconds remaining. It was Breeden's 3rd interception of the day and brought about even more time. Overtime. Here Jack Thompson sought to end things quickly and hit Dan Ross for 25 yards to the Bears' 15-yard line. Two running plays enabled 5'6" Jim Breach to attempt the game winner from 28 yards. His kick gave the Bengals a 17-14 win, and the celebration could continue this week as Cincinnati will attempt to knock Cleveland from the division title. 2 teams with no say in the playoffs are the Redskins and Giants. A Clarence Harmon score and a Joe Theismann to Bobby Hammond pass with 39 seconds left gave Washington a 16-13 win and a chance to perform a rare victory ceremony. The Redskins promise to be contenders this year, but promises are soon forgotten in the nation's capital. Promises of a high-flying offense have been kept in San Diego with an NFL record 3 receivers with over 1,000 yards. John Jefferson, Kellen Winslow, and Charlie Joyner. Despite these feats, the Chargers still had to win their last 2 games to keep their playoff hopes from crashing to earth. To accomplish this, the Chargers surprisingly became earthbound. Chuck Muncie rushed for 2 touchdowns as San Diego took a 14-0 lead over the Seattle Seahawks. But it wasn't long before the Chargers were back to business as usual as Dan Fouts hit Kellen Winslow. Winslow's 6 catches gave him 79 for the season, breaking the all-time record for tight ends set by Chicago's Mike Ditka. Dan Fouts' 7th 300-yard game this season set another NFL mark. To enjoy these records and the 21-14 win over Seattle, the Chargers must beat Pittsburgh this week to keep their divisional title hopes alive. In recent years, the Steelers have been steamrolling opponents with ease. This season, however, they should have kept both hands on the wheel. This was evident last week against Kansas City as the Chiefs nearly slipped out of the Steelers' once iron grip. But a victory habit spanning nearly a decade proved too much for the Chiefs as Terry Bradshaw's fourth quarter touchdown pass to Theo Bell kept Pittsburgh in the playoff chase. The Steelers have not missed the playoffs since 1971, and they refuse to be eliminated at home. Theo Bell, a big play man all season, kept their flickering hopes alive. Rocky Bleier set them ablaze as he forced his way into the end zone to give the Steelers a 21-16 victory. Bleier is retiring after this year as Pittsburgh's third all-time leading rusher, and he would like nothing better than to spearhead another Super Bowl drive. But as every Rocky knows, that's a 1,000,000-to-1 shot. Climbing from the disaster of an 0-14 season, the New Orleans Saints hope to resurrect themselves against the New York Jets. The Jets, bedeviled by defeats themselves in 1980, were unwilling to let their stadium become the site of the season's first miracle. Richard Todd's 31-yard touchdown scramble threatened to deliver New Orleans from whence they came. But the Saints found their savior in number 8, Archie Manning. Manning's 14-yard touchdown pass to number 45, Jack Holmes, helped lift New Orleans to a 21-20 win. The victory finally brought an end to 14 weeks of suffering and frustration by new coach Dick Stanfill and the Saints. While the New Orleans Saints had ended the NFL's longest losing streak of 1980, the Philadelphia Eagles, coming off 2 consecutive defeats, attempted to smooth their ruffled feathers. Against the St. Louis Cardinals, the Eagle defense reconfirmed their #1 ranking, shutting down the mighty Otis Anderson and holding the St. Louis offense to only 3 points. Offensively, Ron Jaworski, who has been accused in recent weeks of trying to force the ball to Harold Carmichael in double and triple coverage, sought out different receivers. Charlie Smith, number 85, was the recipient of 7 Jaworski passes for 134 yards. Smith's efforts in boosting the passing attack, in turn, opened up the running game for number 31, Wilbert Montgomery. Montgomery's 58-yard run was nullified by a penalty. However, his disappointment was short-lived as he climaxed a third-quarter Eagle drive with a 9-yard touchdown en route to a 17-3 Philadelphia triumph. The victory raised the Eagles' record to 12-3, and barring a disaster in Dallas, Philadelphia will win the division championship for the first time in 20 years. Much like the Eagles, the Oakland Raiders faced a must-win situation against the Denver Broncos, who were out of the playoffs for the first time in 4 years. There is no love lost between these two teams, and Denver's attitude was typified by linebacker number 57 Tom Jackson's statement, "If we're not going to the playoffs, neither are they." The Raiders proved that talk is cheap as Denver's fake field goal attempt ended up in the hands of Burgess Owens, number 44, who raced 58 yards for a touchdown. Oakland had lost 2 of their last 3 games, causing Raider fans to wonder if quarterback Jim Plunkett's arm was weakening. But Plunkett silenced his critics by hitting Bob Chandler with an 11-yard touchdown pass. Chandler's score gave Oakland a 17-7 halftime lead, at which point the Denver defense decided to make good on their pregame promise. Typical of past Bronco teams, their big play defense inspired the offense. The two Denver quarterbacks, Matt Robinson and Craig Morton, combined for over 400 yards of passing offense, with Morton personally accounting for 338 yards and a touchdown to Riley Odom's number 88. The score pulled Denver to within 3 points. But like the Broncos, the Raiders maintain a staunch defense led by linebacker Ted Hendricks. Number 83 has been responsible for as many big plays as Tennessee Williams, and his blitz forced a Bronco fumble. Big plays have been the province of the Raiders' Bob Chandler all season. Here, number 85 slyly maneuvers number 20, Lewis Wright, out of the way, giving himself perfect position for a touchdown. The 38-yard score lifted Oakland to a 24-21 victory and gave the Raiders the last word as they stayed tied for first place with San Diego in the AFC West. If all the world is a stage, then Lambeau Field seemed to be a frostbitten road show for the Houston Oilers. Away from the temperature-controlled environs of the Astrodome, the Oilers' trip to Green Bay's Nordic climes made their normally solid defense at first appear brittle. Big plays from people like number 31 Jerry Ellis seemed to set the stage for a Packer upset, but it was a script which the Oilers refused to accept. Houston effectively immobilized the Packers' offense, and Green Bay's defense tried the same by utilizing a 10-man defensive front, gambling that such a formation would stymie the Oilers' potent ground game. Rob Carpenter, number 26, proved that this type of kamikaze defense can be suicidal. Carpenter was excellent in a supporting role, but Earl Campbell starred. At times, number 34's 181-yard performance seemed effortless. After facing playoff elimination 2 weeks ago, Houston's 22-3 win propelled the Oilers into a first-place tie in the AFC Central, a scenario that has not left a dry eye in the Packer house. While Green Bay's losing melodrama turned off the Packer faithful, Punch and Judy theatrics exploded in Detroit. Unfortunately, Tampa Bay came with just half a tag team. In 1980, teams have successfully ganged up on the Buccaneers, who have gone from first to worst in the NFC Central. Although they are eliminated from playoff contention, the Buccaneers refuse to go down without a fight. Tampa Bay's feisty defense created havoc all day as players like number 63, Leroy Selman, penetrated the Lions' backfield, a remembrance of the once awesome Buccaneer pass rush. While David Logan's fumble recovery scored the Bucs' first touchdown, quarterback Doug Williams and the Tampa Bay offense also showed they could reap some points of their own by going deep to number 89, Kevin House. The trailing Lions placed the offensive burden on the passing arm of quarterback Gary Danielson, who patiently sought out receivers like rookie Ray Williams, number 30. In Detroit's two previous outings, mistakes by their special teams have led to defeats, so late-game leads seemed anything but safe. For Lion fans, this unflattering streak was pleasantly diverted. Again, Ray Williams basked in the glory as his 91-yard return clinched a 27-14 Detroit victory. Even though Detroit's bid for the playoffs has ended, they are one game away from their first winning season in 8 years. Also trying to achieve a winning record were the Baltimore Colts, a team which immediately attacked the Dolphins with rookie Curtis Dickey, number 27. Although Dickey notched his 13th touchdown of the year, the rest of the Colts offense remained stagnant. Quarterback Burt Jones was forced to throw on predictable passing downs, situations which the Miami defense opportunistically jumped upon. While Miami squelched Jones' passing game, the Dolphins were not afraid to use their own. David Woodley constantly looked for single coverage, and when it was revealed, number 81, Jimmy Cephalo, outran it. The Dolphins' 24-14 victory marked the 6th time that Miami has won with Woodley at the helm, and with his maturation, the Dolphins' future may be solid for a long time.